and thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. You know, I can talk to you all day about hormone replacement and how good it makes you feel and the benefits of it, but the best stories come from real patients. So this week and next week, I'm going to share some more real patient testimonials. So check out the first one right here. I'm talking to a patient about hormone pellets and how they really changed her life. Well, thank you for joining me today to talk to me and share with other potential patients what it's like to get hormone pellets. So you've been a patient of mine for a little over a year. Tell me, what was it like when you first came in? I'm going to share with the audience that you're 52. So what were you experiencing and why did you come to see us?
Well, yes, I'm very happy to be here and share my experience. So I am 52. However, I hit menopause at 45. And I was having lots of symptoms even before because, you know, in perimenopause, you start developing all of those symptoms.
Right. And a lot of people don't
I didn't know that.
Right?
Back then, I didn't know that. I thought that it's just me. And I go to my general physician every year, and he said, you know, this is normal, and there's nothing you can do, and you just, you know, continue your life.
What were you feeling at that time?
I was feeling the hot flashes and sweats at night. My mood was going up and down, and like I was almost thinking I was bipolar because I could
I felt like that too.
You know, getting into a minor thing with my children or my husband, or be completely and suddenly change the mood. And
so hard.
Also itchy. My skin was all itchy. I will think one of the worst things that could happen to me and many other women is that I'm usually very active. I practice, I go to the gym, practice sports. However, I was busy, but I always had find time, but nothing was working. I mean, I would start gaining weight no matter what, no matter what type of, let's say, diet or, you know, I was trying to eat healthy. I always did, but just gaining more weight. Now, I could say also in my intimacy, that was another nightmare. I mean, I didn't want anybody, my husband, to touch me. I did have no desire or, you know, sex or anything. It was just a complete nightmare. But like I said, going every year to my general physician, he said, no, this is normal for women, and, you know, it will get worse, but there's nothing I can give it to you because it is what it is.
You know, and isn't that so frustrating to go to your doctor and you're presenting all of these complaints? You're saying, I don't feel good. I've lost my libido. I'm gaining weight. I'm losing muscle. I'm moody. I'm grumpy.
Yes.
And they say, well, that's too bad, and don't offer any help. How does that feel? Like, that's horrible.
I mean, it was first, I had to overcome the barrier of telling him because, you know, it's like, oh, maybe, you know, I'm not supposed to say that, but it's right there. And when I told him, I was not offered any help because apparently medicine does not have anything for women when are in menopause.
You know, it's interesting because a lot of physicians still are trained that way, and I've talked about that a lot on this site, that doctors are not trained about menopause. And so I must admit, when I was younger, I probably said something similar, like, oh, well, that's just a normal part of life. It'll pass on its own. You know, do some yoga or go see a psychologist or something.
I was doing everything. I was doing everything in my hands.
I mean, it makes you feel, I felt like lost, and I was a physician who knew all the resources, but yeah, it's an awful feeling, isn't it?
Yes. So what I start doing different is I start researching, going on internet, finding more of the mainstream information, but going beyond. And I was so lucky that I followed Dominique Sachs, her YouTube channel, and she did, that must be 20...
It was December 2020.
2020 interview, with you. And it just opened my eyes, and I said, that was December, I remember, it was before Christmas. I said, no, I had to book an appointment with Dr. Susan, because
I'm so glad you saw
you
that.
explained everything. Dominic asked all the questions, shared her experiences, and you explained everything that I was, I needed somebody to tell this, and there was some hope at that point for me. So that's what I did. I booked an appointment. I was seen by you in January, and that's how I started.
So you came to see me January of 2021.
Yes.
So a little over a year ago. And what happened?
Well, when I came here to your clinic, first thing was, the general assessment. So there was this, blood work and the general assessment done by the machine that you have.
So we did the body composition.
The body composition.
And also checked all your hormones.
Check the hormones. And as you can imagine, they were all, my testosterone was 0. And because I was not replacing the estrogen and the progesterone, so everything was bad. And we started from there. I had, I will say, a little bit 10 pounds over what is my weight right now.
Yes. So you've lost 10 pounds.
I lost 10 pounds since I started. But I will say it is a process, because not every woman is similar to another woman. So you work with me one-to-one to find what is the right ratio, and that we could put on the pellet that I was inserted every 3 months.
Yeah, so you've been getting hormone pellets with estrogen and testosterone.
And
also taking the progesterone.
But also I have the thyroid. It was low.
Found out your thyroid was low.
Yeah, you found out that my thyroid was very low, which I went to the other doctor every year, checked everything, and never said anything about the thyroid. But having all of those symptoms of fatigue, memory, like, you're lost for a moment.
Right, the brain fog.
Brain fog, and it's so awful, because every woman could experiment this anytime. I remember, and during my work, I could just forget what I have to say in a presentation, or my hot flashes will come just right there.
Oh, worst.
It was awful. I know many women will understand me, but I don't know. Right now, we have people like you, Dr. Susan, like you, but I was feeling like I had no help. I don't know where to go.
Yeah, and I remember when I was in that situation myself before I started on hormones, and as a physician, I truly thought maybe I had a brain tumor or I was developing dementia, because, like you said, I would forget in a presentation. One time I forgot my own phone number. It's very scary, right?
Yeah, it's like, how you could forget simple. Sometimes you forget your car keys, things like that, but you have been preparing for something. I'm talking about an event that happened to me, and I cannot say a word. Oh my God, that was scary. But also, I want to share with you who was also my inspiration, let me say that way, my mother. Because my mother, I was sharing with her, Mom, this is menopause, it's horrible. And my mother said, she had one of the worst menopause stories. But my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age around 60, 62. She told me when she was having menopause, have all the symptoms that I had, and back then she went to the doctor, and there was a gynecologist, and told her there was patch available for hormone replacement at that time. But the general belief was that is bad for you, because if you take those, put those patches, take the hormone replacement, you will develop cancer.
Yes, and that was a very popular idea.
It is still until today. If I have this conversation with other women, friends of mine, they'll say, oh no, you're doing that. And I have to bring up the whole story and educate them.
Yeah, good for you.
Yes.
Because we know now, for those who have not learned this, that estrogen does not cause breast cancer. Does not cause breast cancer. That's been asked and answered. And actually taking testosterone reduces the risk of breast cancer.
Yes.
So those are things that not everybody knows yet. And certainly a lot of physicians don't know that. So It's actually interesting. I was talking to one of my friends today, and there was a study that was recently published showing that when something changes in medicine, it takes an average of 17 years for doctors to change their practice.
Oh my God.
So we're just fighting against an old idea that is no longer true. So that's really great that you're able to share that with your friends.
Yes. And just finalizing the story of my
And
mother.
your mom.
She was diagnosed with breast cancer, not having hormone replacements at all, and having the worst menopause that it can ever tell. And when I shared with my mother what I'm feeling, she said, no, you should go for it, because look, I didn't have hormone replacement and I got cancer. She's in good shape right now. Thanks God, it was 10 years of battling cancer. But she told me that, and I said, and then I start researching. I start, having read studies and publications, and I said, no, I'm going to do it.
And that's so interesting what you said about your mom. Thank goodness she's well.
Yes.
And her cancer's been cured. But for a woman who had gone through such a terrible menopause to advise their daughter to take hormones, that just shows you how bad it is, and how when we've been through it, we understand that. And this is a woman who had breast cancer.
She had breast cancer.
So good for her for advocating for you.
Yes.
And another thing I noticed about what you were saying is that you really have to advocate for yourself. You had to go out and do the research yourself because your physician wasn't giving it to you, which is really sad. So women who are not quite as have as much gumption as you to go and do that are not always going to get this information, and they're suffering at home. So what you're sharing is hopefully going to reach a lot of women to help them.
I think women, we have to advocate for ourselves. I personally, I don't go with the flow. I have to make sure it is correct, and I knew there has to be something done that I could help me. And I started doing the advocacy for myself, and then luckily I found you, and things just changed in the other direction.
Well, so tell us how you feel now.
What's
changed?
Everything changed after I've been in the treatment for over a year, like you mentioned at the beginning, and I'm being increasingly feeling better, but we adjusted in the last 2 pellets. And it's being like, I could tell you, I don't feel the age that I have.
Yeah, well, you don't look that age. No, we can't see you, but she doesn't look the age she has either.
Oh, thank you, because I have energy, no longer having any of the hot flashes, night sweats, and itchiness, or constipation, or fogginess, or fatigue, or, all of those irritability things in your mood. I don't have anything else. It's like another person just was reborn.
Isn't that great?
With more experience, which is better.
It's like going back to your younger self, but being wiser, right?
Being wiser. I'm continue doing the same type of training, if not maybe less, a little bit less. And I lost weight. And I see results. I see my muscle mass increase, and you can see it. If we go back to our assessments from the beginning to now.
Yeah.
So the progress is there. The data is there.
Yeah, and that happened to me too. I was just like yourself. I was eating well and I was exercising all the time, but I wasn't able to gain any muscle, and I was getting a little fat around the middle. And I didn't do anything differently. I continued on that healthy plan, but with the hormone replacement, gained muscle and lost fat. And a lot of patients see that, like yourself.
Yes, like me. I was so excited because I was not doing anything different.
Right.
But now everything that I am doing works.
It works.
It works.
And I felt like this too when I was in my 30s and even my early 40s. I knew what would work. I could eat well, and I could exercise, and I could manipulate my weight, and that would work. But then at a certain point it stopped working, right? Which is so frustrating.
Yes, it's so frustrating.
Out of control.
Yeah, because it's just how much effort you put, it won't work.
Right. And when your testosterone's 0, and mine was too, that's one of the factors that's really important for muscle conservation. And so it's really hard to build muscle when we have a testosterone of 0.
Yes.
Some people have low testosterone, but you and I actually had none.
Yeah, I had none.
Right. And I almost remember when that happened. My sex drive went away. I felt tired and weak, and my muscles were going away. And tell us about your sex drive. How's the intimacy?
I was going to that point because it completely changed. Before, it was, oh my God, I don't want, he sees me. I'm talking about my husband, because I don't want to get noticed, because it was like, it's like I had to do it because it's my husband, but I just don't want it to do it.
Yeah, it's an awful feeling.
It's an awful, guilty feeling that you just keep it to yourself and you think, oh man, society, is normal, it's acceptable.
Yeah.
It's awful. But I completely changed. I mean, I'm a person, I'm alive right now. I mean, I find pleasure, I find that is, not only that, it's like, you could notice, other men are attractive. I'm not saying, I mean,
but just that interest in
but
sex.
you got interest in that back now, which I did not have for years. So it is completely changed. If we're talking about, I think everything works well because I have no complaints.
Oh, and I bet he's happy about that too.
Yes.
Right. Because
very happy.
Yeah, no one likes being in that situation, and it happens to so many of us in our 40s when our sex drive goes away, and we see sex more as a chore, like, oh, okay, I have to do it.
That's the right word, as a chore. Yes.
Like, I'll make it quick, or we're not really actively involved, and so for our partners that feels terrible too, because their egos are bruised and they feel like they're not sexy anymore, and it's a really difficult problem we don't talk about very much.
We don't, like I said, I mean, it's like you don't talk about it. It's just it's a big elephant in the room, but you don't say anything.
Yeah, and there's really it's something, maybe we share it with our girlfriends, but even that often we don't, because we feel like we're maybe the only one and there's something wrong with me. I remember feeling like that.
Yes.
So getting that back again, it kind of feels like waking up, doesn't it? It's
like, it is like your book. I read your book. Like, it's a waking up. It's a rediscovering of a new woman at my age. And that's why I wanted to share this experience, because many people will think, like I thought back then, that is the way life have to be for me until the day we die.
That's
probably.
Just it, right? We're old and too bad. Like, nothing you can do.
Nothing you can do. I mean, but it's not. I mean, you have to advocate for yourself and do your own research. I mean, there are so many resources now available, and unfortunately, like you said, it takes so many years for doctors maybe change.
Yeah.
But now we have resources. Don't just believe what is told to you because that's accepted in society.
That's really wise. I think with anything we have to question it.
I have to question it, right?
And one of the things that was that you mentioned earlier was that we found that your thyroid was low, and this is a really common thing. And you just listed so many low thyroid symptoms. So you're going to your doctor, and you had the dry, itchy skin, the weight gain, fatigue, change in hair, constipation. All of these things are check, low thyroid symptoms. But frequently, and I was also trained this way, we just check a very high-level thyroid test, and we can miss what's actually going on. And so we have to dig deeper. And in your case, as in the case of many women, your thyroid function was low. And so, if you feel, if you're listening to this and you feel like you have a lot of those symptoms, just make sure that it's being looked into enough, right? Because if that was missed,
if that was missed, like it wasn't my case, because I was going regularly to the doctor, and he said, no, I mean, everything is fine.
Yeah.
But I was myself, but how I feel this way.
Yeah. And we know our own bodies, so we have to trust that and educate ourselves. So I think you're paving the way for other women to do that, and not everybody's quite as brave. So I really am so pleased that you were able to share this story. So what would you tell another woman who was thinking about doing hormone replacement or checking her hormones, but she's still a little scared or not sure?
I will tell them the same thing I have told all of my friends around me, because they have seen the change. I'm happier, even my skin looks, better, and my whole well-being is positive. That was not my case before I started treatment. I think, as I said before, you have to advocate for yourself, and you have to research and try. There are studies now, the latest studies that show, and actually if you go and look at in another scientist, I follow Dr. Andrew Huberman, Stanford University. He also was talking about in his podcast about changes in hormones, talk about a little bit about women, said that he's going to do another one, but he said replacement is appropriate because you lose at some point this estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, and there's nothing to replace. So what you can do, I mean, that's why you start feeling the way you are feeling. And I think you need to advocate, you need to find the resources. Myself, I was ready to do it because, I mean, I knew something has to be done.
Well, I'm so glad that you did come to see me, because another option would be you'd still be feeling the way you were a year and a half ago. And
yes, like my doctor said.
You're not.
No, my doctor told me, and I remember very clearly before that, he said, you're going to start looking that you gain more weight. There's nothing that can be stopped. That was it. Those were his words, and I was, oh my God. I need to prove him wrong. I don't know how, but there has to be something.
Well, you should go back and see him right now. Just
yes.
So here I am.
Look.
Oh, well, I'm so glad that you were willing to share your story. Thank you so much for giving your time to do this to help other women. And I'm so excited that you're feeling better. And the listeners can't see your face, but you look fabulous.
Thank you.
Glowing. You look happy. Your
I am
amazing,
happy. Thank you so much. I want to thank you because with you was not just like going to a regular doctor and he sits back there and start asking questions and filling up. I mean, it was a conversation. I mean, you make me feel almost like a friend, like we're sharing experience, and I can open up and say everything that I feel. It's not just checking up boxes and filling up forms. So it is. I mean, I recommend you to anybody that I know around me because I'm a success story. I mean,
well, it helps when you've been through it.
Yes,
so we actually sit in this very room with new patients, and you would have sat here too. And we're just like, we are two women sharing the same experience. So it's not a doctor-patient type of a thing with a desk in the middle, and we don't wear white coats. We're two women sharing the same experience, and I happen to have the resources to help with that part, just like you have resources to help with what you're expert in. So I think it's a great way to relate to people in general. So
yes,
I thank you for sharing that really helps. Well, I can't wait to continue seeing how you feel throughout the next few years. And if we do this again a few years down the road, and we'll have you come back looking even slimmer and younger than you do now.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.